On this episode, we talk about obits on the timeline, good or bad. Not all funerals are a religious rite. And profile versus business page. Welcome everybody to DISRUPTu, episode number 4. I'm your host, Ryan Thogmartin, and this is the funeral profession's most disruptive web show. Look, there's been a lot of chatter on the last 3 episodes that I don't start off the next episode by answering the would you rather from the previous episode. So in episode 3, the would you rather was, would you rather know the cause of your death or the date of your death? I'm 100% in on knowing the date of my death. I rather know when I'm going to die so I can live it up to that day versus knowing the cause and wondering if today is the day I get hit by a bus. So I would absolutely 100% want to know the day and date of my death. So cool. I'm in a mood today. A little funky mood, kind of serious. So let's just get into it. Who's got number 1? Spud me. Hover Spud. Okay, obits on the timeline, good or bad? So this question came through. User asked whether or not you should be, as a funeral home, post your obituaries on your Facebook timeline. Is that good or bad? So there's a couple different ways to look at this. If you are not doing a high call volume, so maybe only 100 to 150 calls a year, where you're not having multiple obituaries go out every single day, I would say it's okay to have them on your timeline, dependent on the engagement with the obituaries. Look, from an engagement standpoint, obituaries get the least amount of engagement from likes and comments. However, they do get a high volume of clicks, which drives traffic back to your website, which is overall good for your SEO. So from that perspective, it's good to have them on the timeline. Where obits on the timeline become something that's not as valuable is when you have a lot of content going out and multiple obituaries a day. For example, we've got a client, very high call volume. There's days when they could be posting 8, 9 obituaries on their funeral home Facebook page. Where that becomes a problem is in the fact that Facebook will serve up content to the user. If that user doesn't engage with those 2 or 3 posts, which are obituaries, they're not going to show them the next piece of content because there hasn't been engagement. So if you're putting out a lot of obituaries and other content, then the obituaries could actually be hurting the page and bringing the organic reach down because people aren't engaging with those obituaries. The alternative would be, what we've done with most of our clients is build in a Facebook obituary app where when they update the website, it automatically updates the Facebook app. The app lives in a tab inside of Facebook. We link from the timeline to the obituary app, and now consumers are getting conditioned to check the obituary app instead of the timeline. This has increased engagement of all of the content overall because we don't have obituary content mixed in there that's not getting a lot of engagement. So looking at your call volume, the amount of obituaries that you have going out, how the user currently engages with the obituaries, and if you're currently just doing all obituaries, I would start doing other content and take the obituaries out of there and see what the difference in engagement and reach is. So good or bad, I think on the most part, obituaries, when you're not doing any other content, could hurt the reach of the page. When you are doing other content, if you have a lot of obituaries, it could hurt. If you're not doing that many obituaries, maybe a couple a week, it would be beneficial to have them on your timeline. So it really just depends on your call volume and the amount of other content you have going out. Okay, Facebook, you can catch this episode Thursday. All right, Spud me. Hover Spud. That's a new hashtag. Hashtag Hover Spud. All right, funerals are not always a religious rite. This question was mailed to us in a box, so shout out to the person that mailed us this spud in a box. We appreciate it. And what we're doing is we're amassing a large amount of potatoes. And for every potato that we get, or every spud that we get, we are donating $1 to the Funeral Service Foundation for those spuds. So funerals are not always a religious rite. What I think they mean by this is knowing where this came from. Not all funerals, not all people are religious, so not all funerals need to have a religious theme to them or a pastor or preacher involved using a celebrant, using just somebody else to officiate. There is nothing wrong with that. And I think from conversations before, we see a lot in the profession where most funeral directors have in their mind that there has to be somebody of religious background involved, whether it's a pastor, minister, clergy, father, something of religious background involved in officiating the funeral. And we're seeing more and more people choose not to go that route, but funeral directors really think that it's almost a necessary and have to. So, I see a lot of value in having a religious ceremony if that person is religious in any way. If they're not, obviously the family is going to find far more value in being able to personalize that ceremony and having a eulogy or somebody officiate it that maybe is a family friend or the funeral director themselves and not a religious person. But I think it's important that we put all biases aside and treat each individual family the way that they officiate the funeral the way that they want it officiated, whether it be religious or not religious. Okay, last one. The last hover spud, spud me. This is also going to coincide with our Stop Being Stupid segment. And this is profile versus business page. This question was asked to me over and over again as I speak at different state associations and different national conventions. Should my funeral home set up a personal profile or a business page? Look, way back when Facebook didn't have an option for businesses, a profile was what you had to set up. Now Facebook makes a distinct differentiation between business pages and personal profiles. There are so many benefits of your funeral home setting up a business page versus a profile, yet I see so many funeral homes operating their funeral home name as a profile. And that means basically the difference between a profile and a page from engagement standpoint is on a profile you friend somebody, on a page somebody likes your page. The differences between business or profile are great. So for one, it's against Facebook's terms of service to use a profile acting as a business. So by acting as a business with a profile, your funeral home could run the risk of being actually banned from Facebook, which would be monumental. So you don't want to operate a profile as your funeral home. The page benefits are going to come in with analytics that you can't get through a profile, so you can know what content is reaching the most people are engaging with. You can run ads, which you can't do through a profile. You can target people through a business page, which you can't do through a profile. You can post target, which you can't do through a profile. So there's a lot of benefits. You can run apps. You can run contests. You can do a lot of different things on a business page that you cannot do on a personal profile. So if you have your funeral home name as a profile, convert it to a business page, and you can do that through page merge and actually take your profile, turn it into a business page and merge it with the current business page, or use it as your permanent business page. If you want help with this, we would be more than willing to walk you through this process. Get a hold of us, Ryan at DISRUPtmedia.co, and we can walk you through that. But listen, stop being stupid. Do not have a profile set up as your funeral home name. Use the Facebook business page function for that. Okay, that wraps up episode 4, which is time for our, what we call our Would You Rather question. So this week's Would You Rather. Can we see that all right? Would you rather have no one show up at your wedding or no one show up at your funeral? Answer in the comments below. Make sure that you are subscribing. Last week, Cody, let's do this. Boop, 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 boop. subscribe, everywhere, subscribe. Subscribe to our page so you get the updates on the videos. Make sure you're commenting below with questions that you want us, or topics you want me to answer, and answer our would you rather. Engage with us. Let's have some context back and forth. That's where this becomes extremely valuable. So together, we're going to change the way you disrupt the funeral profession, whether they like it or not. So keep disrupting. Oh, by the way, don't forget to send us your questions on a spud. Remember, the first person that sends us a spud with a question will receive a Disrupt Media swag box. Also, even if you aren't the first person, for every spud we get in the mail with a question or topic you want me to discuss, we'll be donating $1 to the Funeral Service Foundation. So send us your spud. Spud me.